And I mean, it scared me so bad, I lost it.
I just implored her, please don't say anything to anybody.
Yeah.
That if I tell them if I have a concussion, they're not going to let me do what I do anymore.
I think a lot of people think that pro wrestling is fake. Is what you're doing in the ring real?
It's not real, and it's not fake. So when you get slammed, you really get slammed. I'm helping him slam me.
But you're getting injured.
Yes.
Last year, he was sidelined with injury. The WWE took him off the roster.
WWE's doctor said, I can't in good conscience allow you to risk yourself like that.
Athletes are like thoroughbreds. Someone has to pull the reins in because they will run themselves into the ground if given that opportunity.
But some former pro wrestlers say the WWE hasn't always been as protective. In 2015, Vito LaGrasso and Evan Singleton filed suit, accusing the WWE of failing to diagnose concussions and sending people into the ring injured. Even citing a case of wrestling superstar Chris Benoit, famous for his headbutts, who after his death was found to have suffered from severe CTE. The WWE told us WWE has never concealed any medical information related to concussions or otherwise from our performers. And in fact, WWE has been well ahead of the NFL and other sports in implementing concussion management procedures and policies. The WWE implemented a talent wellness program that now includes impact concussion testing, a protocol instituted in 2006.
When I first started working for WWE, which was 2000, there wasn't a whole lot of concussion testing or anything like that, but there wasn't in any sports.
Something's wrong.
That change in conversation coming about partly through the determination of the doctor recently played by Will Smith in the movie Concussion.
Tell the truth.
Dr. Bennett Amalu.
Well, we're looking at a microscopic slide and a microscopic picture of the brain of a normal individual. The same region of the brain in a football player about 40 years old, and what you could see are these brownish spots.
A forensic pathologist, Amalu first discovered CTE while performing an autopsy on NFL great Mike Webster, a four-time Super Bowl champ who died from a heart attack while homeless, broke, and alone.
Mike Webster died today. A heart attack took his life at the age of 50.
Believing that behavioral changes were caused by trauma to his brain, Dr. Amalu performed Webster's extensive autopsy.
What struck me was everybody was talking about how he did not do so well after football. I had to provide an explanation for that.
He analyzed Webster's brain and uncovered a new medical condition. That's when he called it CTE, and recently told my colleague Byron Pitts about his findings.
The most significant contributory factor to CTE is exposure to blunt force trauma of the head.
Are we talking like gentle slaps to the head?
Violent slaps that would make your brain move forward and backward, sideways in your skull, causing shearing injuries.
You have to think about hits to the head, like we think about smoking and lung cancer. When you start young enough, you're going to open up the door to lung cancer, just like if you get hit in the head thousands of times every year while your brain is still developing, you're opening up the door to CTE.
Today, more professional athletes are not as afraid to speak out about the toll contact sports is taking on them.
Manny, Ben Utek.
Like Ben Utek, a former tight end for the Indianapolis Colts and Cincinnati Bengals.
For me, it really has revolved more around memories and cognitive, my cognitive abilities.
The NFL released this report in the days leading up to Super Bowl 50, saying diagnosed concussions in the league increased 58% this season, with a staggering 271 players sidelined since preseason. Compare that to the 206 concussions reported in 2014. The NFL told ABC News the reason for an increase in concussions are unclear, but it will look at any significant trends.
I think there's no question that the CT discussion and respect that we're developing is going to lead to better outcomes for people. We need to embrace this opportunity to prevent this disease from happening in the next generation of athletes.
For Brian, he hopes that being proactive will make the difference, but still worries about his wife, Bree, who's in the ring.
There was a specific incident, it was a couple months ago. She was standing on the announce table and she got swiped off and she just took a big fall to the floor. And a little bit ago she had gotten a concussion in the ring, and so she had to take a week or two off. She's strong, but you still, sometimes she's my wife, and you want to protect her, right?
Both are hoping to start a family. So for WWE fans, that might mean another retirement announcement, and soon.
Feeling and seeing everything he went through with his retirement, I just feel that it's time for me to hang up the boots. It's going to be hard on me as well, but that day is definitely very close.
For Nightline, I'm Kana Whitworth in Los Angeles.
Next, the wealthy town with a skyrocketing teen suicide rate. What parents, teachers, and students are doing to stop it. Keeping the heart of Silicon Valley, something is going terribly wrong with young people. My Nightline co-anchor Byron Pitts takes us to an affluent, iconic community that now has a teen suicide rate 5 times the national average. This is a story every parent needs to see.
Sun-kissed and tree-lined, Palo Alto, California.
Silicon Valley is the most innovative place in the world.
Where one idea today can change the world tomorrow. So let's do this. Houses here sell for millions, and the high schools are top-notch. But the limitless potential that Palo Alto projects has another side.
A so-called hotspot for suicides.
Because the sheer number, it was just massive.
Just last year, 4 Palo Alto teens took their own lives, enough to be considered a suicide cluster. And this was the second one to rock this community in 6 years.
We were losing a child about every 6 weeks.
Obviously, there's like a crisis.
Now with the teen suicide rate 5 times the national average, prompting the CDC to announce today an investigation as to why so many kids here have chosen to end it all.
A 16-year-old boy took his own life.
On the night one of her classmates died, gun student Martha Cabot took to YouTube, placing blame, what she called her town's pressure cooker environment. It went viral.
The amount of stress on a student is ridiculous.
For Christian Leong and Andrew Baer, at the time juniors at the other public high school in town, word of his death stunned them.
It was really sad for me because I didn't ever think that that kind of thing is even possible for someone our age.
What does it do, you think, for your peers when people suddenly realize it is an option when someone they know takes that option?
Well, with the whole nature of suicide clusters, we see that when one person does it, other people who considered it as an option may consider it more seriously, which is really frightening.
If I can't even figure myself out, how on earth am I to expect anyone else to?
So last summer, they made this documentary called Unmasked, their classmates revealing their own struggles with anxiety and depression.
Through my struggles with depression, I self-medicated a lot with alcohol and drugs.
I was suffering an anxiety attack.
We're trying to take off the happy everything's okay mask that our community has and really just talk about the deep problems that we're going through.
Where does that pressure come from? Does it come from classmates? Does it come from teachers? Does it come from parents?
And I think if we knew the answer, then it'd be a lot easier to solve the problem.
Dr. Madeline Gould, an epidemiologist at Columbia University, was invited to Palo Alto to study what could be causing their alarming number of teen suicides.
There are many communities that have high stress levels and are economically advantaged, and they haven't experienced a suicide cluster.
She cautions that one teen suicide can have the frightening and unintended consequence of signaling to other teens that it's a real option.
They practically don't occur in any other age group. So between both the social influences and the biological influences, it makes them much more vulnerable to being influenced by somebody else's suicide.
And what they can't see at that time is that there are other ways out of the pain, something Taylor Chu is alive to feel grateful for.
It's still to this day I struggle with the terminology attempted suicide.
The now graduate of Palo Alto High School says the pressure during her freshman year to achieve was too much.
It was just insane. I did almost all of the AP classes I could take.
Taylor says sleep was the one thing she didn't make time for.
For a long time I'd been feeling like I was drowning. I didn't know how to say that I needed a break.
It led her to one impulsive moment of desperation.
What I was trying to achieve was this separation from my reality that I couldn't face.
Her parents got her into treatment, and with the help of her teachers, she made changes to lessen her load. But Juliana Tachabana's brother Ben didn't get the help he needed. He was a sophomore when he took his own life. The message these two women who have overcome enormous pain want to spread: life is worth living.
If you have people around you that kind of keep reminding you that, it is going to get better.
Things are really looking up.
Mark Vincini, a former English teacher at Gunn High School, who mourned the loss of some of his own students, sees a need for change in the classroom.
There is a lot that high schools can do to make teenage despair more bearable and more survivable. That the school environment is crucial.
He believes smaller class sizes and, yes, less homework, students feeling like they can say enough, could make a difference.
What's so challenging about going to high school in this part of the country?
The things that are challenging about going to high school here, I believe, are infecting high schools across the country, because we see now a national discussion about overstressed, burned out teenagers.
Gunn High School has taken action, implementing the YES program to teach students positive coping techniques to deal with stress.
The thing that I'm most proud of is that we're not doing just one or two things. We're really looking at holistic plans to sort of build a web of support for our students.
And suicide clusters are definitely not just a Palo Alto problem.
What we found is that it crosses every socioeconomic characteristic. Communities have been impoverished, and we've seen them have a suicide cluster. Very driven, wealthy communities have suicide clusters.
And it turns out some 15 to 20% of all teens have considered suicide. But reducing stigma around depression and creating dialogue about mental health are crucial steps towards preventing these deaths.
Really is a community effort. It's really everyone has a role, everyone has a part. It could just be, noticing someone sad and going